Combat arms consist of infantry, the guys with the guns marching through, artillery, the ones with the big guns, that go boom, and armor, the guys that are in the little tanks, are the strikers of the vehicles. You see that in the Army, you see that in Marines. The Navies have the big guns on the ship, but you got to be specially trained to operate those big guns. The Navies have the Navy SEALs, which could be either in the water or on the ground. And they're trained to do both, and they do it well. And I was amazed. I was well impressed after seeing them in operation. Air Force do it in the air. But again, everybody, 70% of that force is supporting those people. Only 30% of the 2.5 million military personnel that are in all the branches of service, only 30% actually get to shoot and fire. Now, we're all trained to, because they invade your base. You better put the paperwork down and pull up a gun, okay? And you better know how to fire. Because it's your job to make sure the checks don't get blown up. Because that soldier or that Marine or that Navy SEAL, he wants to make sure his check got sent or went through. He doesn't care that you got invaded, all right? You fire back and you make sure stuff get in the mail. Or the button gets pushed so it goes through the computer system.
Actually, before we ask the next question, you're doing a lot of talking. So
oh, okay. All right. Thank you. And the reason I explain that is because I'm not your typical military personnel. I wasn't, in the ground with trees covered over me firing at the enemy. I was a court reporter. My job was to, and I had a multiple job. Not only did I handle court cases, I transcribed historical data for the whole war of Iraq because it hadn't been done prior to my unit getting out there. And then I was assigned to transcribing all the meetings among the generals, all the events that happened, and because they desire to have this stuff maintained historically. And so therefore, I got an opportunity to provide, to view a lot of events. Because when you're transcribing, I'm listening to them and I'm typing away. And I'm hearing events that took place. I mean, amazing events that took place in history as a result. But I was not the guy that was in the foxhole.
So of those events, what was your most vivid memory? What was the most important?
I think the one I remember the most is when the dialogue that took place between Uday and Kuday before they bombed the building that they were in. The information that was in the transcripts went a lot where Uday was the oldest son, Kuday was the younger. Kuday was the one that Saddam himself wanted to take over Iraq because Uday was just brutal. He was the one, if you heard stories, that the Iraq soccer team lost at the FIFA World Cup, he killed the goalie for missing. I mean, he would be at a party, and if someone looked at him wrong, he would break open the bat and bash their heads in. In fact, Saddam at one point almost killed him himself. He said, "Tell me why I shouldn't kill him." Because he knew, one of Saddam's biggest fear was if he gave Kuday rule over Iraq, would Uday shoot him, kill him to take it? So even Saddam knew how corrupt his own son was. But the dialogue, Kuday wanted us to, without saying it, he wanted us to break in and capture them, because he knew that his brother's thing was, we're going to fight to death. And so I'm transcribing two messages that are being negotiated. One's coming from Uday, and the other's coming from Kuday. And it was quite interesting how they both were trying to bargain their own deal. But Uday was more by force than Kuday's was. He knew we would have to breach, but he wanted us to breach without killing and destroying. And it was interesting that he knew we had the ability to do that. I thought that was, so I was like, wow, okay. I didn't know that they knew that much about our abilities and technology. Some of the more vivid was the horrible things that happened, the rape and murder of the 14-year-old Iraqi girl and her family. And the only reason I share this because it was declassified. You could Google it. Her name was Abir, and to this day, that's one of the most memorable transcripts that I had to transcribe, going through the conversations, and I guess one of the things that I want people to understand is all the same human dynamics that take place in your world, here in Davis or Sacramento or anywhere, are the same human dynamics that take place anywhere. People bring their issues, their troubles, their problems. One of the guy who was most noted for that event and who actually did murdered the family, he was a meth kid who was on his way to jail. And like so many judges in America, they really believed going to Iraq was worse than being in America.